All right, welcome to the We Talking About Sports NCAA Top 10. I am your host, Justin Martinez, and this is your other host, Ben Diaz. Ben, another week of good college football picks for us. Last week we had two picks. We gave you Florida to beat Tennessee, and we said Michigan State would get a run up on because their coach was in the process of getting fired. We gave you that news before it happened. It's official now. He's gone. Ben, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's official. They gave him the boot. We've seen sometimes, coaches get away. I know in Nebraska, there was a whole scandal going on over there before Matt Rule got there this year. But yeah, another one bites the dust. We got a coach, obviously let go by the university in week 3. I'd say he coached 2 weeks because he didn't even do week 3. But yeah, man, it's Penix and the Huskies showed up to Sparty and they put it on them. I mean, I think they had 40 points at halftime.
Yeah.
They kind of, put their foot on the brake in the second half, weren't disrespectful. But yeah, they ran through that Sparty team.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Michael Penix Jr. showed up big time. Something we're gonna have in the show next week is kind of your early favorites for the Heisman contender, and we're gonna have guys like Michael Penix featured in there. Through 3 weeks, he's been phenomenal. There's been other quarterbacks that belong in that race, but definitely we'll have that for you. But let's get into it. The top 10 for this week. Number 1, Georgia, no move there. 2, Michigan. 3, Florida State. They did have a tough win over Boston College, a team they probably shouldn't have struggled with. 4, Texas. 5, USC. 6, Ohio State. 7, Notre Dame. 8, Washington. 9, Penn State. Penn State has moved down from my 7th spot to my 9th spot. And I'm going to bring Utah up to number 10 based on strength of schedule. Now, Utah did beat Florida week 1, and Florida went out and beat a ranked Tennessee team. And they're looking a little bit better with Billy Napier at the helm. Looks like it's a better team. Graham Mertz is looking a little bit better at quarterback as well. Ben, what about my top 10 do you like and what don't you like this week?
I don't like that. I think Texas moved down a spot from 3 to 4.
Oh, they stayed.
Oh, they stayed? Okay, then I had that messed up. Georgia, what I will say, obviously, they got to stay at number 1, but this is not the same Georgia team. I had the pleasure of watching that whole game against South Carolina. And South Carolina and Shane Rattler, like I said, not the biggest fan of the guy because he was at OU prior to this and just the way he carried himself. But, I mean, he has shown that he's probably going to get drafted to the NFL.
Yeah.
Based off of his skills and kind of just getting his shit together. So South Carolina gave Georgia a hell of a game. They lost one of their top weapons at wide receiver with an injury right before half. Georgia against Georgia, but yeah, man, the Georgia team, I'm not that scared of. I understand that they're going for a three-peat, but a lot of those players are gone, man. A lot of those players are gone. Still a tough defense. They buckled up, didn't give up a touchdown in the second half, but the offense just, really doesn't have that pizzazz to it. Similar to the Alabama offense, obviously just not to that, extreme, but I'm not scared of Georgia anymore, Justin. As a Longhorns fan, with the expectations that I have for the Longhorns, and if the playoffs started today, hey, we would be up against Georgia, right? First week. I'm not that scared of Georgia, bro. That is what I learned from this week.
Yeah, what you saw Saturday with Georgia was Carson Beck is definitely not Stetson Bennett. And the second thing for their offense is they don't have that featured back that Georgia has. Georgia kind of has been RBU for a little bit,
A lot of
them in Alabama. They don't have a featured back that can really run the ball and shake down defenses. And you're seeing this guy here, number 19. Man, his name is killing me right now. Is it Brock? I can't remember his name. The tight end. He was supposed to be the all-star for the team. He's struggling too. Brock Bowers, by the way, that's his name. He's struggling as well. Georgia's defense not as fast as last year's. They're a lot younger. You can see Georgia possibly losing a game somewhere on that schedule towards the end. Now, granted, they don't have the toughest schedule, so they're going to be featured pretty well. It's going to be towards the SEC championship game where you might see them drop something. Like I said, I think this year, if any, we could see a 4th playoff team, that 4th spot, be a 2-loss playoff team entrant. I really believe you're going to have this week Ohio State and Notre Dame facing each other. They're going to be knocking each other off throughout the season. So I think this is going to be the first year we have a 2-loss team making it into the playoffs. Ben, but it's all about narratives And I got three narratives through 3 weeks of college football. I got to ask you this question. The first question I'm going to give you, number one, is the Texas Longhorns legit? Are they legit?
The Texas Longhorns, although that win against Alabama didn't age very well, as they put up another stinker against USF, they did get the win against USF, but Alabama just doesn't look as good as usual. So that win, Texas, finally getting that huge win against a team like Alabama, it's really not looking too good right now, just based off, what Alabama's performing like.
Yeah.
But I do think Texas is back, just on the defense. I know the offense can struggle. They can, take a while to start. And it seems like they've been playing down to their competition because against Alabama, it really didn't take them that long to start. They were fired up. They were ready for that game. You see them against Rice. You see them against Wyoming. And, they're kind of stumbling around, the first half. But they do have a quarter where they just put it together and make the margin so huge, You mentioned it with Notre Dame having, that huge fourth quarter against whoever they played last week. That's what Texas seems to do. Either the third or the fourth quarter, they, outscore you by 3 possessions, and that's where the gap comes. We haven't seen them put it together for 4 quarters, I don't think. Even in that Alabama game, I do think we could have played better. But Texas is for real. I don't think we've seen the best of Texas. I hope we see it in a couple of weeks against OU.
It's a little bit of unfamiliar territory seeing Texas be a second half team. We're not used to this. We kind of fold under pressure in the past years. And now, that fourth quarter has been clutch 2 weeks in a row for us where we've really separated. That offense still, Ewers was a little shaky. He wasn't really sitting on his feet to throw these passes. He was kind of relying on his arm talent. Xavier Worthy, man, he took that one to the house, and I think that's what sparked it all for us. I got to say, what really is the best about Texas right now is their defense. I mean, that defense has been the highlight, and I'm completely surprised because I really thought the offense would be doing a lot better, but it's the offense struggling a little bit and the defense really putting it on. I think that defense is elite.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to feel the same way. They might not be all the way bought in on Quinn yet, but they're at least recognizing this year the defense is fast. They're making plays. It's a good sound defense, and that's going to keep you in games. I mean, that's what kept Georgia in this game against South Carolina because the offense was horrible in the first half. So just having that defense, and we play in the Big 12, right? So we're going to find out if that defense is legit or not because the Big 12 is usually shootout after shootout. So we're going to have opportunities. Alabama with that quarterback play, maybe not the best, example, but yeah, I think that Texas is for real. I think the defense is for real. Shout out the comment section, Rick, Wally, Eddie. Thank y'all for joining us. I know Rick was at the game this past Saturday. But yeah, I do believe Texas is for real, Justin.
All right. So number 2, the second narrative I'm going to give you from this 3 weeks of college football, another who's legit. Is Colorado legit?
I think Colorado's legit. We talked about their depth a couple of weeks ago. They're a legit football team. They have a legit coach. They have legit players. They have guys that are going to go to the NFL. As Texas fans, we've kind of been clowned for not having that NFL product come out of Texas the last maybe 5-6 years. Shit, since Mac Brown left, to be honest. Bijan finally top 10 pick again. But yeah, I do think that they're legit. I think that they're going to become a powerhouse. Recruits are going to want to go that way. Right now, they're setting the foundation. You know what I mean? They're still undefeated. We're going to get into their game this week where they find themselves as 3 touchdown underdogs. But I do think Colorado is legit. I mean, their win total was at 3.5. They're at 3 wins. They're going to get over that. It's a team that's probably going to win 5-6 games maybe. But I do think that they are legit. Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I think they're a few guys from being legit, but they're definitely on their way. I think they still don't have a solid run game, and that's what we're seeing Shedeur Sanders having to kind of hold that whole offense up by himself, having to be the guy. If they lose him, if they were to, if he were to get hurt or something happens, they'd be in a lot of trouble really fast. I think Deion needs to beef up the O-line, and then, just work on the defense a little more. He has guys in place. They got stars. Unfortunately, they are going to be without Travis Hunter this next 3 games, so we'll see what happens with that defense. Last question for you. Should Alabama panic through 3 weeks? Is it time to hit the panic button?
Definitely time to panic. I mean, I think that they did. Weren't they switching the quarterbacks out? If I'm
Well,
not mistaken.
there was rumors that Jalen Milroe could have be on a suspension, and that's why they didn't play him
Ah,
that
okay.
game, and players were upset. That's all being kept under wraps. That's not a for sure. I'm putting my little tinfoil hat on,
Okay.
but it kind of makes sense why we didn't see him at all. They did get to play the 5-star Simpson in there in that game, but they didn't look good. They
He
had a
didn't.
rain delay and they looked terrible. Players looked just not interested in playing right now. They don't look good.
Yo, and you see, USF sucks. Like,
Yeah,
USF is a horrible football team, and USF had the lead. I mean, I think that they won by maybe a field goal or a touchdown. Alabama, when it came down to it,
17-3, I think, in the end.
no, really.
Yeah, 17-3.
Oh wow, I thought USF had scored more than that. Okay, regardless, I mean, it was a one possession game up until the garbage time of the fourth quarter, if you will. But yes, it is time to panic. I mean, they don't look good at all. Yes, they beat up on that Division II school, but Texas been the joke to everybody, right? And then went into Tuscaloosa and beat them. So yeah, I think it is time to panic. I think that you can kind of see it with Saban. He's showing it a little bit, man. He's I don't want to say out of character, but he's not. He doesn't
I
hasn't
think
had.
he is out of character. I think that is the
Okay,
correct
I
word.
was gonna say the poker face is kind of gone.
Yes.
He's showing frustration.
Yeah. I think the biggest factor is that it's not the kids because Alabama has more 5 stars than any other team right now, currently. I think it's the coaching staff. The guys around Nick Saban aren't the same. They're not Billy Napier. They're not Kirby Smart. They're not Bill O'Brien. They're not Lane Kiffin. They're not the Miami coach. I can't remember his name right now. All the guys that he
Bill
had.
O'Brien's not there anymore.
Nope.
He's with
So
the
all the
Patriots?
guys he's had that were able to, lift these kids up and make, yes, they're 5-star, but we're gonna get you where to go. They're not there no more. And it's kind of having to do more of Saban doing all the coaching up now. And guess what? You can't do it all by yourself. You have to delegate, these things. And I think that's what's frustrating him. I think he knows he has the talent, but he can't get through to everybody. He doesn't have the coaching staff.
But how does he not have the coaching staff though, Justin? Like who
Well,
does
I just named all those coaches.
No, I know, I get it,
Yeah.
But just like he loads up with reloads with recruits every year, why wouldn't he reload with coaches? Who doesn't want to be under that Nick Saban coaching tree?
You know who's
It al-
on the Nick Saban coaching tree right now?
it
Charlie
almost-
Strong.
It almost and you see, and so that's a good position coach, bro.
No, he's not. He's not a
Come
good
on,
coach.
Justin.
That's what I'm trying to say is he doesn't have the position coaches. You
Justin.
cannot compare Charlie Strong and a Kirby Smart on the same
No,
wavelength.
he hasn't had Kirby Smart for damn near.
No,
10
but what I'm
years,
saying he
Jus.
had Billy Napier. He had the Miami head coach. He's had Bill O'Brien. He's had Lane Kiffin. All those guys have successful programs outside of him now.
Right.
Charlie Strong has never had a successful program.
Well, he's finally under the Nick Saban coaching tree, and he has had a successful program. That's how he got the Texas job. They're not just going to give
one
it to
year
him
in
off
USF
failure.
that he had 10 wins. That's not
Hey,
the year
USF
before that he had 3 wins. It's not that
USF
big a
has
deal.
never been the same. But what I will say is, like, Saban is the one choosing these guys to bring into his coaching staff, right?
Yes.
So what has it maybe passed him by? Is the crop just not good out there? Or?
The crop is not good out there. The Mel Tuckers are gone. People like that. The guy from Maryland, he's gone. I mean, it's the crop is thin right now for him.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, he used to be able to reload on coaches. You would get guys like our coach Sark. Sark was under his tutelage. Those guys have all gone. They're all somewhere else now. It's just the availability of good coaches is not there for him.
Interesting.
Braun is saying NIL is killing Alabama. That is completely incorrect because they do still have the most 5-star talent. So it's not that.
Fake news, Ron. What do you know?
Let's get into this week's matchups.
Here we go.
Week
Here
4
we go.
notable matchups. As you can see here, if you love college football, you're going to be fed this weekend. There's so much. Ben, let's open up with Florida State minus 2.5 at Clemson. What do you think about that? 2.5 points only. I mean, we saw Clemson struggle with Duke.
You say
Got
only.
it together since.
You say only, Justin, but this game is at Clemson.
Yeah.
When has Clemson not been favored at Clemson? I think that Vegas knows that this Clemson team is hot garbage, like Dion says. I mean, we're going to see Dabble run down that hill and sprint to midfield And that might be the most excitement that Clemson gives their fans that night. To be honest, I like Florida State here. I know it's on the road. I like their quarterback. I like what they're doing. We saw them, tear up LSU. I think LSU would be Clemson as well. I really don't like what I've seen from Clemson at all. So yeah, give me Florida State here in the 2.5.
You know what? I agree with you. I think Dabo, if you want to talk about someone hitting the panic button also, I think Dabo Swinney needs to hit it too. I
For
think this is
sure.
going to be more than 2.5. I think Florida State has the ability to run this up to over 10
And,
points.
and for him, surprisingly, it's been not being able to find a quarterback. I mean, we saw him with the Hawaiian kid that had the long ass last name. I'm sure you can pronounce it.
DJ Ungayungale.
Yeah, him. He's not there anymore, and now he has this new guy who I don't even know the name of. But I mean, how do you go, from Deshaun Watson and he had some pretty good quarterbacks, and now he's got guys that just they ain't it. I mean, are they unranked or are they ranked right now, Clemson?
I think they might be at the back end of the top 25.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, give me Florida State, bro.
in some polls, they're at 23 in some polls, but not the AP poll.
Okay. Yeah, there's not the same Clemson team.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to we asked, are they legit? Colorado, you mentioned 3 touchdown underdogs against an Oregon team. Oregon's top 10 in some polls. Ben, they're going to it's Autzen. Autzen is what they call the stadium. Autzen Valley. What is it called?
I believe it. I just know it's in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, Eugene, Oregon. I believe it's Autzen Stadium. 21-point underdogs without Travis Hunter this week. What do you think here? Are you going to hammer the 21? Or are you going to play plus 21 with Colorado? What are you going to do here?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go Oregon first half. I think Oregon can come out at home. I mean, obviously, the Buffs without Hunter, we know that they have started slow, the last couple weeks. I think Oregon can be up 14, 17 points, possibly after the first quarter, bro, to be honest. I mean, all it takes is a couple 3-and-out drives, and Oregon at home, I do think that they're going to take advantage of that defense. I know I said Colorado is legit. They are. They are. This is just a bad spot. They're injured. The depth isn't there. And we knew that once they started playing the likes of Oregon, USC, and Utah, it was going to get tough on them. I don't want to say Travis Hunter's worth a full touchdown, but I didn't expect a 21-point spread if Travis Hunter was playing, this is a crazy number, but they're without their best weapon, arguably on offense and defense. So I'm going Oregon first half here, Justin. I think the number's got to be around 13.5, 14. I think they'll be up 2 touchdowns and a half.
All right. Let's move over to Ole Miss at Alabama. Alabama's a 7-point favorite. Jalen Milroe, the guy who was quarterback for the first 2 games, will be quarterbacking this game. Do you think that Alabama's worth those 7 points at home against an Ole Miss team who can light it up with Lane Kiffin?
No. And Lane Kiffin, I mean, he loves this game personally. Lane Kiffin, and we've seen Ole Miss be one of those teams that upsets Alabama whenever they've had, their 1-loss seasons. I've seen Ole Miss play this year. They've got that QB Dart, and they also have Sanders, the old Oklahoma State quarterback who's backing him up. Crazy that he didn't win the job. But yeah, Jackson Dart, I think Ole Miss can win this game outright. I love the 7 points here.
Yes, me too.
Because this is an Ole Miss team that can score quick. Alabama, to me, they just can't score really quick this year. It takes them some time. So I like Ole Miss and the 7 points. Give me the dog.
Same. I'll take Ole Miss outright to win this game. I think we're going to see an upset, which I don't even think it's an upset. I think the wrong team is favored here, honestly. Let's move over. I know you wanted to talk about the Oregon State Beavers and Washington State. The Oregon State Beavers are 3-point favorites. We talked about the Clemson quarterback from last year. He's over here now. DJ Ungale. That's as best as I could say it. Minus 3-point favorites going into Washington State. Man, I know you're thinking about the underdog here.
Yeah, I like the underdog here. I like the +3. Washington State is at home. This is going to be one of those late night Pac-12 games, if I'm not mistaken. And I like Washington State at home. To do this one, shout out Mike Leach. Mike Leach was at Washington State for he did a stint there. R.I.P. Mike Leach. But yeah, I like Washington State to win outright at home against Uga Ugalele and the Beavers.
All right, and the game of the week, probably the game of the week right here.
Probably.
number 4 in some rankings, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Ohio State going to Notre Dame, and they're 3-point favorites. Ben, I know you're big on Notre Dame this year. What do you think about this game?
Notre Dame at home as underdogs. Give me Notre Dame. I know they didn't have the best showing last week. Really didn't blow that team out, but I think it's because they were looking ahead to this week and the big matchup that they had. I think they're going to beat your Buckeyes, Justin. I'll still take the 3 points. I'm not going to take the money line. I'll take Notre Dame and the 3 points in this one.
You know, Notre Dame has faced tougher talent this year than Ohio State has, but Ohio State finally looked like they should last week. Yes, it was Western Kentucky, but they put it on the way they should have. The defense looked the way they should. I think they're prime going into this Notre Dame game. And Notre Dame, you know, they've been resilient. They've been putting up big fourth quarters. But how can you do that if Ohio State's up on you early? Give me Ohio State. I take the points. Give me Ohio State.
That's a homer pick right there.
That's 100% a homer pick. But I do got something else I want to show because I want to, you know, just make sure it's known that it is not the NIL killing Alabama. As you can see here at the top, 28 commits. They got the most 5 stars with 9 coming in currently on that team. So the NIL did not kill Alabama. That is a myth that Ron is definitely trying to put on for us here. And I see him in the comments trying to act like the transfer portal's hitting them. Again, this factors in the transfer portal. You got 9 5 stars, 18 4 stars, more than any other team. So Alabama is not void of talent, Ron. That is a myth that you're putting out there. I'm sorry, my friend.
The Longhorns at number 3, though?
The Longhorns at number 3 with talent. The transfer portal, we got a lot of 4 stars. I have 14 4 stars.
Let's go.
Yeah. So that is what it is.
Ron, you just got served.
Ron just got served. I'm sorry, Ron. I had to do it to you. I know he's protecting his guys at Alabama, but it's whatever. All right, Ben, is there anything else you want to hit us with? Next week, Heisman race for sure.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about the Heisman race. The group chat, Marburger from Sherryland got the start for UTSA this past Friday against Army. Frank Harris, I know Roland said that they gave him like 10 mil in NIL money, and then he just went and got a bunch of surgery. So he was out for the game. And the Valley kid, Marburger, was starting. UTSA ends up losing, you know, at home. They were favored. They end up losing outright to Army. I'll just say, man, like a lot of people had UTSA as the best non-Power 5 team coming into this year, just based off the strength of Frank Harris being there for damn near a decade already. And that NIL money looks like it, you know, it might be messing with these lower programs, bro, as far as, you know, their stars now just becoming maybe a little too Hollywood. Frank, let's get it straight. Frank Harris does not have a career in the NFL after college. So this was
not a quarterback, but maybe another position like a receiver. Maybe you could see him doing a slot, something like an Eckler would.
Yeah. I don't see it, man. Like it pretty let down for UTSA. I think this is their second loss of the season. They got upset by Houston in that opener as well. So I mean, you like to see UTSA doing well. The coach Traylor has you know kind of built that program. Yeah, the 2-10 triangle of toughness, but you know it's not looking good for UTSA off the bat. Just kind of talking local teams, and on the other hand, Texas State kind of turned it around this year.
They look better.
You know, they got that win over Baylor. They've had some pretty good wins. We'll see how that game against UTSA goes later on in the year, but yeah.
I want to answer Ron's question. Why did Hunter decommit from Florida State to go to Jackson State? It definitely wasn't because of NIL, Ron. You don't go from a Power 5 program to a HBCU because of NIL money. You go because of different reasons. You're not going to make more money than you would at Florida State. Florida State would have brought more money. They have more money. He goes because he wants to go with Dion, and he wants to get coached by the best corner to ever do it so that he makes sure his path is good.
Yeah,
it wasn't NIL money.
And also, let's be real. Had he gone to Florida State, he probably wouldn't have been playing both ways.
Yeah, he would have played one. It would have been corner, and he would be making much more bank because of the resources Florida State has compared to Jackson State. I mean, you've seen the lockers. There's not enough money to go around to even have good facilities, much less pay players off here.
Hey,
so I'm sorry, Ron.
Tunchi ain't going to be walking around the locker room at Florida State, though. I mean, they're all in Colorado, bro.
Oh, Jay Garza, he wants us to hit up on Texas versus Baylor. Baylor is trying to make this a Super Bowl for them. They are selling out that stadium. They're trying to, shake us a little bit. What do you got here, Ben? Texas or Baylor?
Baylor sucks. All right, Baylor
They do.
sucks.
Jackson or Aranda, Dave Aranda's looking bad right now.
Yeah, they're not a good team. I think. Well, I don't know what the spread is, Jacob. You're in the comments. I know you know the spread. That's why you're asking about it, Pa. But this has to be at least a 2-touchdown win for Texas. I mean,
15 for Texas, minus
15. So yeah, it's a little lot. 14. I think Texas wins. I'm not sure if they cover, Jake.
Yeah, I think we win too. I hope we don't struggle, man. I really don't. I want to see us get off the ground early and not play down to our opponents, because that's been the case through 3 games. I really want us to show that we are the better team. And we know what? We're beefier up front. Jonathan Brooks, he was running it just fine out Wyoming. Do the same thing to Baylor. They're not going to be able to hold us down that way. Run the ball and let Jonathan Brooks get his carries.
Is the OU game next week or in 2 weeks?
I would have to look that up.
Because if the OU game is, after the Baylor game, it's just I would just stay away from Texas, Jake. I know Jake.
Baylor, Kansas, then Oklahoma.
Okay. No, so yeah. I mean, that Kansas game might be the one where they're looking ahead, and Kansas offense is pretty decent as well. Yes, Jake, Ole Miss +7. We talked about that. Justin likes them to win outright. I'm always going to take the points. Yeah, Ole Miss +7 for sure.
Ron is definitely bitter from hitting every corner here that we've, held him up to. I'm sorry, Ron. It is what it is.
There's definitely a lot of faith, Ron. I've been, telling Justin Texas should have been in his top 10 from the start of the season. Finally, we're at number 4. I think, And
I'm still, nervous about doing it because I don't want to jinx my own team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's all I got, Justin. Looking forward. Hopefully next week, I know you want to talk Heisman, but maybe we can talk a little bit of recap because there is some big games on this week.
Oh, we have to. Ohio State, Notre Dame recap, Texas, Baylor. Hopefully we're still in a good spot. See if Ole Miss and Alabama, like we said, winning.
For sure.
Definitely got to recap.
Yeah, that's
all I think that's it for us, man.
Yeah.
Peace.